It's lights out, everybody, and welcome back to the Low Downforce podcast, the four-friend Formula One podcast. You'll notice it's just two of us tonight, myself, Matt, and J9. Hey, J9. We've got Ben and Josh sending their regards, though. But how you doing?
Doing great. I'm glad to be back on the pod. I missed last week, and so now we're missing two others, but I don't think it's ever been the two of us, so it should be a good pod.
Yeah, everybody, it's a special episode as far as the history of the Low Downforce podcast goes. But really excited to bring you our preview for the upcoming race, the Formula One Singapore Airlines Singapore Grand Prix 2025. And I'm really excited for this one. I don't know about you, J9, but there's something about the night races that really just, I think it's a whole nother level.
They're so fun, and a city race. Those are, I always think that they're the most fun and like anticipating crashes and craziness. I know last year had no crashes, which was like the first time ever. And that was shocking. So I think it might be a little different this year, and I'm really excited to see what it brings.
Awesome. So let's dive right in then. I'll go ahead with the track facts. So welcome to Marina Bay Street Circuit, home of the Singapore Grand Prix, the first ever Formula One night race, which made its debut back in 2008. Before that, Singapore had a non-championship race in the late 60s and early 70s, but it's this modern event under the light that's become one of the pinnacles, I think, of modern F1. The circuit's going to run for 4.94 kilometers per lap, and on Sunday, the field's going to go the distance of 62 laps for a total race length of just over 306 kilometers. It's a tight street track where the walls are going to be pretty close no matter where you are, and it's a track dominated by low and medium speed corners, heavy braking zones, and constant changes of direction. Drivers are calling it, one of the toughest races over the past few years, physically draining in the humid Singapore night. Of course, there's high demand on the brakes, tires, and cooling. In terms of what you'll see on track, cars are going to run high downforce setups to claw grip through the slower corners, and overtaking opportunities are somewhat limited, which are going to make qualifying and strategy critical. And we'll get some more into some of the different flashbacks from last year, but this is a track with a lot of history of drama. Back in, we've had a safety car every single year except for last year, which is incredible, more than any other circuit that I've ever heard of. But again, the streak was finally broken last year, where the Singapore Grand Prix ran start to finish without a safety car or yellow flag. There's still pretty good odds of a safety car in this upcoming race now that we've seen a clean race. But we've seen a clean race is possible. So who knows what's going to happen this year.
Yeah.
The circuit
it was really cool I'm sorry. It was really cool last year, and I love how you said that the temperature just makes such a difference. I have a friend from Singapore, and every time he talks about it, he's always talking about the heat, the humidity, the craziness that you're feeling, and that's just like walking around the city, let alone in the driver's seat and sweating like crazy. I can't imagine. And so I'm so excited to watch it from just the strength and stamina that these guys have to get around this track for that long of an amount of time.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Georgia was bad. It's got nothing on Singapore from what I understand.
No, nothing.
And for the weather, especially, this is not an easy circuit. There's going to be a few standout turns, with turn 1 having some first lap chaos. It's old turn 10 chicane, the infamous Singapore sling. It was so brutal on suspensions, it had to be remodeled from a chicane into a simple left-hander back in 2013. The Anderson Bridge is one of the narrowest points at turn 13 that you'll see throughout the calendar, threading cars over the bridge with barely any margin. And if you look at the track map, I think it's really cool. We'll figure out how to get Josh or Ben to put it up on the screen here, but turns 8 and 14 actually share the same junction. So you'll see cars blasting down in opposite directions as if they're going to be going head to head right before they peel away in opposite directions. And there's going to be a lot of speed here. There's 4 DRS zones, one down the pit straight into turn 1, another blasting out of turn 5 onto Raffles Boulevard, a third along the Esplanade stretch after turn 13, and the last from turns 14 to 16. And I know we'll get into some facts from last year here in just a second, but there's some unforgettable moments here in Singapore. The infamous 2008 Crashgate scandal with Nelson Piquet Jr. That helped Fernando Alonso win that opening race. Go look that up. That could be a whole episode in itself. Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton have been pretty dominant here over the course of its history with 5 and 4 wins respectively. And Lewis Hamilton's stunning qualifying lap here in 2018 is still hailed by many as one of the greatest single laps in F1 history. And last but not least, the lap record around Marina Bay stands at 1 minute 34.486 seconds set by Daniel Ricciardo in 2024.
God, I'd love to just sit and remember the dominance of Lewis Hamilton and how he's so well respected in this sport, because what I'm about to say just brings me sad thoughts of McLaren doing so well, which you would be happy about. So getting into last year, I know Hamilton just does so well, and he probably won't do well this upcoming race. I definitely don't have him in my top 3. But last year, a few races ago, we had that turn from Red Bull to McLaren becoming so dominant. And this race last year was, of course, still one of those races where McLaren is just firing on all cylinders, literally. And, Norris took pole and converted it into a win. He was very dominant in this race, and I'm sure that we will continue to see that this year. He led every lap. It was not even close. So, from a winning perspective last year, quite a boring race. If you're even a Norris fan, it was still fairly boring. We had no safety cars, no yellow flags. So there wasn't craziness happening downfield in the midfield either. And then, you did have Daniel Ricciardo setting the fastest lap on lap 60 with 1:34, which was kind of sad because this was his last race. So he did go out with a bang and with excitement, but he still no longer raced after this one. So we did have a Norris number 1 again. Verstappen came at number 2 and Piastri came at number 3. You then had the midfield kind of really dominate on midfield, still upper tier, but shockingly dominated by Mercedes and Ferrari, with George Russell being 4th, Leclerc 5th, Hamilton 6th. And so I'm fairly certain we're going to see the same thing yet again. This time just Hamilton not on Mercedes and at Ferrari, and Leclerc and Russell up there as well. So I actually personally don't think anything huge is going to change this race from last race. Maybe some more crashes. We did have a couple DNFs last race, but it wasn't anything like a crash that stopped. It was just, hey, this happened and they had to retire. And so, last year it was Verstappen still holding the driver's champion lead. Obviously, this narrowed the lead a little bit, but he still got second. Perez, of course, finished 10th and, continued the lead. And for those of you who listened to us last season and heard me just quite honestly shit on Perez for like a total of 10 straight races. I have apologized this season and will continue to apologize. However, he just finished 10th and continued to not have them move up in the Constructors Championship. But Verstappen still held the lead after this race last year. So really looking towards this race, I think we'll again see Norris and Piastri go head to head to try to get that pole position. And then, of course, top of the race. And then I think we're going to maybe see us break out with Verstappen. He won the last race. I think he's going to continue being up front. And, there might be a surprise or two in there. Maybe Hamilton will come back and do so well. Or maybe, Kimi comes back towards the front. I don't know. I guess we'll find out in our predictions, Matt.
Absolutely.
Now I want to have a predictor for 6th place, 4th place.
Honestly.
I feel like has a little bit more thought process to it. I feel like now it's just I pick between Verstappen, Piastri, and Norris, and then like if something crazy happens in the race, you're like, well, I put my bets on the ones who continue to win. So I don't know if I'll be unique this race.
I mean, it's hard to be unique if we're all trying to win. Everyone can't have the same
Very
predictions
true.
necessarily, but then, if we all get them right, we have to have the same ones, right?
I know.
So,
Well,
I
how
mean,
are we doing in our overall
yeah.
predictions?
Okay, so Josh and I both increased our lead over you and Ben. Josh was actually
Sad.
the only one of us to land a point within the grid, with Hajar squeaking out P10, increasing his lead over me by 1 point. Nobody landed any points for the podium. It was an insane race in that regard. Josh's hot take did come true, with VCarb outscoring McLaren 11 points to 6. My hot take also hit. I said we get 2 rookies in the top 8, and we ended up with Kinney and Liam in 4th and 5th, respectively. Unfortunately, there was I guess, depending on who you ask. Unfortunately for Ben, Leclerc did not get pole or DNF. And then you said 4 DNFs, which, I guess we didn't see a lot of carnage this past race. And the only retirement was from Oscar, which screwed up everyone's P1 prediction. So that leaves us with Josh in first with 35 points, myself, Matt, in second with 33 points, J9, you're running in third with 24 points, and Ben at 19 points.
Okay, I feel good that I'm not last. That's positive. We got to focus on the good things here, okay? I'm feeling good about it.
The most anyone scored was 4 points this past weekend.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it was a very unpredictable race. Who would have thought? Who?
Yeah. I don't think nobody foresaw that happening with Oscar. And speaking of what's happening with Oscar, is he going to make a comeback? Is he not? Let's go right into our predictions for this week. Who do you have qualifying on pole?
I actually have Piastri. I think he's going to come back. I think he always does. And I think that he's way more consistent than Norris. And I think that he's just going to take last week's slump and just kind of continue to do his thing. I think he's a lot less dramatic and a lot less, again, he's just more consistent. He's a lot less up and down. And I think he's just going to come back and continue that good race.
Yeah, I would love to see that. And Josh is right along with you with Piastri qualifying on pole. Ben and I both have Lando Norris on pole. I can't speak for Ben, but I just think that McLaren's got the car to shine in Singapore. And I don't know, Norris having won the race here last year, coupled with Oscar's, just maybe he'll be shaken up a little bit, I think, after Baku.
Really?
Hopefully not. I'm not saying that he's going to be like qualifying P10 or anything, but I don't know. I would be shaken up if that were me.
Why do I feel like Norris is just, like I say the word dramatic, but I just feel like he is a little bit more all over the place when it comes to not just finishing, but Piastri, again, more consistent. But I also just feel like Norris, if he won last year, I just have this feeling he's not going to win again this year. Like, he is just not necessarily done well in the races that we expect him to win. And then when we don't expect him to win, he does win. So I never know where to place him. Piastri, I think he's gotten me more points.
Okay. I mean, I do think Lando could be, I don't know if this is objectively true that he's a little bit more volatile. At least more recently, Oscar has been more consistent, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, there's always the jokes about Lando bottling pole from last year. We finally got, some race wins for Lando within this past 12 months. But that goes right into our podium for the race. Who do you got for P3?
Yeah, P3. I have Verstappen. I know he did so well in Baku, but I think that the McLarens are just going to shine in this one. But Verstappen is so good at street races that I would not be surprised if he moves up to P2 or P1 even, and wins the race. I want to put my money on McLaren, my fake money, because it's not. This is just for fun, actually. But I would hedge my bets if I had bets on on Verstappen not winning this one, even if I wanted him to personally. I just think the McLarens have this race. How about you?
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I actually also have Max. I think that with the 2-race win streak and clawing back a bit in the World Drivers' Championship, even if Singapore isn't his strongest circuit, he hasn't won here yet. Max's precision is going to keep him locked into the podium mix. I just don't see him not fighting as hard as he can tooth and nail for that third place on the podium. I do think that he just doesn't have the car to get himself into the top 2 spots. But we actually have a really interesting set of P3 predictions from Ben and Josh.
Yeah,
did you see
what
those
they
already?
go with? I have not.
Okay. Yeah, so Ben has gone with Charles Leclerc. And
okay.
when I looked at the Vegas odds, Charles wasn't too far off. He's done well in similar street circuits. I think that he's shown a lot of resiliency. I don't see this being a bad pick, to be honest. I thought it would be hard to not have Max on the podium. Where do you slot him if it's not McLaren's in the 1-2? He's got to go P3 for me. And then we'll get to the hot takes in a little bit that'll circle back to this point. But Josh has Lewis Hamilton, the other Ferrari, coming in at P3.
Bold. And again, well, I guess he's going to follow off of the Sainz situation and the Roscoe situation, which I'm so sorry, Lewis losing a dog is the worst thing in the world. And that's a lot. And he might actually use the emotional time that he's going through in his race. And it might actually have him focus even more. I don't know. That's different for everyone.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly a possibility. And as a reminder from earlier in this episode, Lewis has won here 4 times, but it's been quite a number of years, right? And that was all in a Mercedes car. Maybe he won before Mercedes, but I believe it was all 4 wins in a Mercedes. So I do think that Mercedes cars will be better on this track overall, but Josh and Ben respectfully disagree.
Apparently it's going to be Ferrari. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, it seems like it for the P3 spot for them. But then it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, based off of everything you've said so far, that we've all got a papaya front row lockout. Now, the question of P1 and P2 is still open. And I think that P2 is going to be Oscar Piastri. He's he's the championship leader for a reason. He's consistent. He's composed. He's always in the fight. But I think that coming off of a shaky Baku weekend and also the 1-lap edge that another certain driver has, I can go ahead and spoil that by saying it's Lando, right?
I'm shocked.
Yeah. I honestly, it was so tough for me to see like who between Oscar and Lando is going to end up in P1. And I just, for the reasons I just mentioned, I do think that it'll be Oscar in P2. Of course, I'm not going to be upset if it's a McLaren 1-2. How could I be? Right?
That's true. Yeah. And I've gone the opposite. I think Piastri's got it. I don't think last week's going to shake him up at all. And I think he's just going to kind of get right back into it. Like, it just happened and he moves on pretty quickly. And so I think he's going to continue that pace and be able to get that P1 and Norris being P2. Did Ben and Josh agree with that, or are they siding with you?
So Josh is siding with you.
Josh,
yes. And that also goes in the order that we kind of, that's basically the order of the driver standings currently. The gap as it stands is 25 points between Oscar and Lando.
That's so crazy.
I think, and Ben also agrees, that with Lando winning, I mean, Ben didn't say this, but I think with Lando winning, we see just that much more drama for the Drive to Survive. We see that much more drama for the McLaren team if Lando eats into that lead that Oscar has by 7 points. And then the gap will only be 18 points, which is very manageable with, 7 or 8 races left in the season. So,
I wonder if there's going to be like a situation where they're both so close and McLaren kind of has to choose which driver is driving better and who should overtake the other, if that's, because that's come up a few times. Like, what if they're not what if they don't do so well in qualifying and then they're a little bit behind and they got to keep going? And so I just wonder, like, because that driver championship is so close, how do they choose which one? Obviously, the one who's driving better that day, but that just adds to all of the chaos of can Norris come back? And even if there's a situation again where Piastri doesn't finish, like, what if there's a crash and Piastri's involved and Norris gets through and he gets 18, 25 points, and then we're in a situation where, that driver's championship is so close. Like, I'm intrigued for not just this race, but the remaining races that we have in the season because of how close it is. One crash makes all the difference, and you never know what's going to happen in the race, no matter how predictable it sometimes seems. You never know.
Very true. Last year was a testament to that with the clean driving. And I don't know. I think that the tough part here is that wherever we see the pole position land between those two McLarens is going to really determine who's going to win the race. Again, there are 4 DRS zones. There's going to be DRS trains, though, in my opinion. It's just not an easy track to overtake. But, I have no idea where it's going to end up. And even if one of the McLarens were to end up towards the bottom of those top 10, the gap might get really, really tight. It might even level out. Like you said, if Lando keeps it for the win and Oscar were to crash out. But we'll just have to wait and see how that all turns out. And I am also excited to see who we have for P10. This has been an interesting one this season. I can't remember if we did P10 last year, but it's such a difficult prediction. And I had a few names swirling around in my head, but we do have Ben with Ollie Behrman. We've got Josh with Liam Lawson. And where you sit?
On Sainz, he's just going to go right back down. And that's so bad because I like Sainz, but like he's in a Williams and that can't stay consistent. So I think he's going to go 10th. Sorry, Carlos. Although he is very good at street races.
Yeah.
Nah, he's going 10th.
I mean, he's driving a Williams. What case? Yes, last week he got a podium, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't think it's the most outlandish claim to think he would go and regress a bit. I've got Fernando Alonso, a 2-time winner under the Marina Bay Lights within the first 3 races here, I believe. It was Alonso, Hamilton, Alonso. Aston Martin, I don't think they have the pace to fight up at the front. P10 is probably going to be the ceiling, in my opinion, for Alonso here, but he has some great street fighting craft that still delivers, in my opinion. Maybe he gets higher than P10.
I think we're going to see at least a good fight from him for sure, because he always has that little spark and unexpected driving skills at street races. So I think we're definitely going to see that spark from him.
Yeah, and I don't think there will be another crash gate. I don't think that we can even have that happen at this point because Stroll could crash, but I don't think it would be on purpose like that. Either way, that leaves us with just one spot left in our predictions, the spicy hot take. You want to take it away, J9?
I think you should go first on this one.
Ooh,
I'm excited to hear what you think.
Okay, so this is extremely unlikely based off of the history of this circuit. Maybe you might call this not so spicy based off of how last year went, but I think for the second year in a row, we do not see a safety car. Now, I'm not saying that there won't be a yellow flag. If there's a yellow flag and there's part of the circuit that has, some quick debris clearing, I'm not going to rule and say that there's not going to be any yellow flags. But I think it would be incredible to see another clean race here, because it would just really just shake up how do we define what a race in Singapore looks like. So that's where I'm sitting.
I'm actually going the opposite. I think last year's an anomaly, and this year we actually will see a crash. And I'm predicting that it's going to be towards the front of the pack. And I think that's going to shake up maybe Ferrari, maybe Mercedes, and I will throw in, you know what? I'm going to throw in McLaren. I'm going to make it super spicy. I think those 3 teams, and others can count towards this, but I'm putting my foot down on that it's going to be towards the front of the pack, the top 10, and it's going to shake things up where we're going to see maybe the McLarens escape because they were too far up front, or we might see some midfield teams stay back because they're behind the crash. But I think it's going to be impactful on those who we think are going to be in that like 8 to 4 range. But it could be even higher than that. So I think there's at least 2 crashes. I'll say 2, and then at least 1 towards the front of the pack that's going to make that a little bit crazy. I might go so far, and I think I didn't predict it. I mentioned it earlier. I might go so far as to say McLaren's going to be wrapped up in it, which is going to affect that Drivers' Championship. I think it'd be cool, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in there as well. Something's going to affect that Drivers' Championship and make it even closer.
Okay. So
I'm
just to
adding
quantify
that on the
that,
fly. I'm
just to
adding it
quantify
on the
that,
fly.
2 crashes, 1 within the top. How
One
many drivers?
One affects McLaren.
1 affects McLaren. Okay. That'll play out interestingly with your podium.
Fucking spicy. It's like the spiciest hot wing you got.
Yeah, because your podium can't. I mean, I guess it could come true still if they. You're not saying that they necessarily DNF.
No,
right?
I'm looking to gain points somewhere.
Okay. Yep.
They counter, but like hopefully you'll get somewhere.
Okay, and just to make sure, DNFs or just crashes?
DNFs count.
Okay, but if they crash and don't DNF, that's so.
Mm.
Just making sure. Just want to make sure that
you
have.
How often does that happen?
Sometimes somebody loses their front wing and they make it back to the pits. I just want to give you the opportunity.
I will say DNF will count with the McLaren situation.
Okay.
But otherwise, it's just crashes.
Okay. 2 crashes or more with 1 DNF in the McLarens. I like it. That is spicy. Well, I don't like it. Spicy. McLaren.
All right. What does Ben and Josh have? Is it as spicy as I'm predicting? I don't think so.
Ooh.
Ben seems to. He always tends to go more mild.
Yeah. Let's talk about like the canned green chilies. Max will be the only Red Bull or V carb to make it to Q3. That's actually not. That's decent to me. With the performance of V carb recently, and Yuki not doing horribly, the only Red Bull or V carb to make it into Q3 is pretty strong. A pretty strong claim. So based off of recent form, yeah, that's pretty spicy. But if we know anything about the history of these teams, I'm not sure. I have to wait and see. But that's a go for me.
Always throws history out the window.
Yes. Well, some history may be coming back in Josh's prediction. Actually, he's just doubling down on the Lewis podium. He says it'll be in honor of Roscoe. And rest in peace, Roscoe. We miss you. I know Lewis misses you even more. And for anyone who has seen the new F1 movie, you even get to see Roscoe in a cameo. Such a special dog for such a special driver. I'm cool with it. I think Hamilton being on the podium is spicy as it is. So I'm not opposed to the double down.
I agree. For Roscoe. 100%. I think he's going to have it in him.
Cool. Well, there you have it, folks. It'll be another early race. It's 12 hours apart from us here in Georgia. So you'll tune in on Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern for qualifying and 8 a.m. Eastern for the Grand Prix on Sunday. And looking forward to it. It'll be a hot race. It'll be interesting to see who ends up where. Maybe it'll be like Baku. Maybe it won't. Maybe it will make history again. Who knows? Until then, good night. Stay speedy.